feelings. Feelings lead to behaviors. Behaviors turn to habits. Habits mature to become character. And from character, it becomes a personality. We can reverse it by having the mind of Christ, so that what comes into our mind, because the source is the word of God, it will change how we feel. It will change how we behave. It will change our habits. It will make our character to be like of Christ. And finally, our personality is going to be godly. Amen. There is hope for us, and there is hope for our children. My brothers, you might have married a virgin, but at 40 years, during the secondary adolescence, she becomes a lesbian. How can we avoid that? And see, how can we develop ourselves, add knowledge to ourselves, bring great revolution in this development of marriage and family while others are collapsing? It has been found out that boys, I'm very specific, boys raised in single-parented families have high chances in getting to a lot of crimes in our society in comparison to boys who have been raised in a more stable, healthy family. For men, love is commitment, it's not a feeling. And sex for men does not mean necessarily love. If I'm thirsty and I drink water, does it mean I love water? That's the mind of a man. Research has found out that healthy marriages produce healthy children and healthy family members as far as their mental and emotional experiences are concerned.
And so we come into this world ruined creatures. We come into this world creatures who are in danger of eternal damnation, the eternal wrath of God. Every single human being comes into this world bearing the sin of Adam, both its corruption as well as its penalty. Yes. So sin is not something that that comes to us after we are born. It's something we come into this world with. That.
Yes, welcome once more. This is Moment with Christ coming to you each and every Wednesday from 8 to 9. I'm happy and excited knowing that from where you are today, you can be able to connect with us so that we can learn together, we can add value to ourselves, and also we can increase knowledge and wisdom to ourselves. It's none other than Reverend Collins, a certified mediator, life coach, marriage and family coach. Not only that, a professional speaker. I'm very happy for all of you. If you can be able to get a transmission, probably you are in Kenya, one of the cities you are in diaspora, just type and tell us where you are watching us from and where you can get us from. This is very key and very important. Maybe for those who are new, we have 4 programs we run every week. Every Tuesday, we run a program called My Health, My Wealth, which comes all the way on health issues. And we have a health practitioners who each and every Tuesday addresses from 8 to 9. Wednesday, we have Moment with Christ. Every Thursday, we have Marketplace Venture, where we call different kinds of professionals to talk to a group of people on how they can be effective in their marketplace. And every Friday, we have Rebuilding Family Foundation, where basically we talk about marriage, family, and our relationship. I'm very happy, excited, and proud to have you even joining us today. This day is very good, very important, and very unique, with the fact that what you're going to learn today is one of the areas whereby it can help us in dealing with issues of crisis within our lives, within our society. And knowing about the existence of this, one of the best tools in our country, it can help us on how we can handle our situation at different ways when it comes to political issues, domestic issues, work-related issues, and many other more. Why? Because in this life we live, crises are inevitable to come. But how we can sort them out and the skills to do the same is key and extremely paramount. Kindly, from any location where you are, if you can get me very well, type and tell us where are you watching us from. I know that some of you are watching from Facebook, some are watching all the way from the YouTube, from any corner. kindly just send us a signal, send us a word, even as we acknowledge your presence, and also we acknowledge your effort in one way or the other. Now, as we have been learning on different kind of things at different time, those who have been following us up in some of our programs, we have been doing like the marketplace venture, which also tomorrow we'll be having one. We have been having different speakers coming in, challenging us and also inspiring us on why we need to sharpen our skills, our talents, and our gifts towards becoming better people by the end of the day. And one of the guys who really inspired us is Golden Myron, who talked so much about how sharpening your skills can play a very key role in building yourself. I'm happy I'm seeing more people are coming in, the number is increasing. I'm just giving like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, then I invite the host for this day. And as he has been talking to us about how we can be able to sharpen our skills, maybe for those who missed it, I'll just play 3 minutes clip on why we need to sharpen our skills so that we can become better people, even before we get to our subject matter of this day. Why is it important to sharpen our skills and to become better people?
Okay, so wealth doesn't matter how hard you work down here. Working harder is not going to make you wealthy. Now, you can live down here your whole life and still be wealthy, because wealth that you create is going to be determined by what you do with the money that you make, not how much money you make. Okay? So, but you're not going to create wealth by working harder down here. Wealth doesn't start to be created until we get above the line. So, what's this level? This level is communication. And on this level, we use our mouth to create money. I mean, we could also write, but we're going to just communication, okay? So, on the low end, you're going to make $100,000 a year, and on the high end, you could make hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Hundreds of millions. You sell cars, you can make 100 grand a year selling cars. You make 100 grand a year selling insurance. You make 100 grand a year selling real estate. You can make more than that, but if you're an A-list actor, an A-list singer, or you're a songwriter like Dolly Parton, you can make $100 million a year. Huh. Communication. Here's what's interesting. While I was growing up and everybody was telling me that children are to be seen and not heard, and they were telling me sit still and be quiet, nobody told me that the key to fortune is in communication. This book right here, I wrote this book. It's called Boss Moves. And boss is not me bossing you around. It's certainly not you bossing me around, so let's don't get it twisted. Okay, so it's called Boss Moves. Boss is an acronym that stands for Business Optimization Success Secrets, or if you're referring to a person that's a boss, Business Optimization Success Strategist. That's a person who's a boss, right? So we show people how to optimize their businesses. Optimize, oh, that's like sharpening the axe. Are you seeing the connection? Well, up here, you use your mouth, okay? Now, the highest level of value is imagination. And on this level, we use our mind and our money to make money. Now, here's what's cool. This is the highest level of value. Up here, you're going to make on the low end, you're going to make $1 million a year. On the high end, it could be billions or more. One of the things I found out, I worked way harder when I was down here. I was never here. Okay, that was not me. I was down here. I was the person they were telling what to do. It didn't matter how hard I worked, the amount of money I made was always going to be limited at the lower levels of value. How many of y'all track it? And so what we got to do is we want to get to the place in our lives where we say, like, I don't need to work harder to make more money. If I want to create wealth, I don't need to work harder, I need to work higher. Work at a higher level. It's not about delivering more value at the lower levels. It's about delivering a higher value. Are y'all tracking with me? It's about delivering a higher value for other people at a higher level.
Don't miss our tomorrow program, which will be talking more about the episode I've just lastly shared with you. Today is a great day, nice day. I'm very excited with some of the people who are just writing their comments today. I'd like to appreciate Janet Ndungu saying, watching all the way from Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you, Janet Ndungu. We have Hendra Patel watching all the way from Mombasa. I appreciate Hendra Patel, mediator. Also, we have someone else, Jane Gaganwala from Nyeri, Kenya. Thank you, Jen. I really appreciate you. We have Mr. Walter from Nairobi. Please, if you can get us and you're joining us, tell us where you are watching us from. Now, today we have a guest who is together with us in this forum today. There are a lot of things happening in Kenya. Today we had Mandamano. Tomorrow it shall proceed up to Friday. But all these things are happening because some of the key people in our leadership feel and think standing on their ground will be the best for them and for the people they're leading. But at a time like now, when a lot of crisis taking place, is there a need for mediation? And if the need is there, what is mediation and how important is it going to be for our country, Kenya? Today, I have the president of East Africa in our world and the field of mediation, who is going to be our guest and is going to share with us a lot of the reason why we need or we might not need mediation in our country. Let me invite at this particular time the president of East Africa Mediation, Mr. James Magerere. Kindly switch on your microphone as I invite you. Thank you. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Collins, and I hope everybody is getting me.
Yes, we are loud.
I'm excited to be here this evening, and it's my joy to share with people knowledge about alternative ways of resolving conflict, because conflict is part of our lives, and we cannot avoid conflict. In fact, they always say that when the moment you stop engaging in conflict is when you are dead, when you can't breathe anymore. But so long as you are breathing, conflict is part of our lives. The good thing about it is that sometimes there's good conflict and there's also bad conflict. The only difference is that how do we respond to conflict when it occurs? Because if we respond to conflict constructively, we say we are conflict competent. If we respond to conflict destructively, we are conflict incompetent. And that's the moment we start realizing how bad conflict is. Just to talk a little, because you've talked about mediation, I want to tell people we have alternative ways of resolving conflicts. There's alternative to what? Alternative to courts, because we have always been told that when there is a conflict, the first line of resolving is see you in court. And you'll find that most of the time, that's not the best way of resolving conflict, because there's a law that comes along with court. So there are alternative dispute resolution processes that are alternative to traditional litigation. They are negotiation. Sometimes when we have a conflict, we try to talk to each other and see if we can resolve it on our own. I try to convince you why I need something and what I can give you in return. If we fail to agree, then we look for a third party who is neutral, who comes in to assist us to enable us to negotiate more productively. And that third party neutral is a mediator. That's when the process is called mediation. That means it's assisted negotiation. And then there are others after that. There is conciliation, where parties, a third party proposes a solution, then drives parties to that solution. Then after that, we have things like adjudication, which is usually used in dealing with construction disputes. There is neutral evaluation, there is arbitration, because I see most people confuse mediation with arbitration a lot. Yeah. Arbitration is a quasi-judicial process, just like a court of law, where an arbitrator is a private extraordinary judge who sits, listens to the parties, examines the evidence, and makes a decision we call an award, which is equivalent to a judgment. So it's very important for us to know all those differences. And then we can get back to mediation now.
Thank you very much. That's clear, because you have started by giving us different methodologies which can be used in dealing with crises in case they come, and actually crises are inevitable to come. Maybe let's get back to mediation, because there are some people are viewing today, it's their first time to hear about mediation, probably their second time. The first time they heard about it was when Kofi Annan came to Kenya. But today we have many people, even some in this platform today, who through your hand and your organization have been trained to be competent mediator. What is mediation? Maybe you can start helping us from that point, so that somebody today can be able to know, in Kenya, we don't need Kofi Annan anymore. We have great men and women who are competent to deal with situation. What is mediation, and why do we need mediation in our society?
Just to start from the point where you've just talked about Kofi Annan. Kofi Annan did not mediate and dispute in this country. What Kofi Annan did was conciliation. Kofi Annan found a country that was breaking apart, the stage where we are right now, where there were two protagonists fighting over the outcome of elections. He came with a solution, and the solution was that we only can resolve this dispute through a coalition government. So when he came with a solution, he tried to drive parties to that solution. So the process was conciliation. What Kofi Annan did, he was trying to reconcile the two parties. And what he did, he placed one of the parties at Serena Hotel, another party at State House. And you will see him walking back and forth, trying to sell his idea, not the idea of the parties. So he managed to convince the parties to buy into his idea, and there was a deal. That's when the then Prime Minister and the President met at Arambe House, and they greeted each other, because Kofi Annan had hammered his own deal into the two protagonists. That is conciliation. If Kofi Annan was to do mediation, it would have been a different approach completely. Because in mediation, you empower the parties to come up with their own solution. You don't propose a solution for them. You simply, parties are negotiating, lines of communication have gotten stuck. A third party, neutral, comes in to assist parties and give them the capacity to be able to make their own decisions. That's why we call mediation a self-determinative process. You are empowering these two parties to be able to make their own mutually acceptable solution. So it's a different thing from what Kofi Annan did. And that's the reason why I'm saying, even now as we are talking, the only best way of solving our problems is through a structured dialogue we call mediation. And I wish people really understood that at the end of the day, that's where everything settles. Just before you come in, there is a reason why people come to the table in mediation. And it's important for people to know even before we talk about mediation. There are three theories why people come into mediation. First of all, the first one is what we call the ripe moment theory. That the time is ripe for us to resolve this. Why don't we do it? The next one is known as the mutually hurting stalemate theory. That's when we delay resolution, and this thing is hurting both of us. And therefore, resolving will lessen the pain that we are exposing ourselves into. The third theory is what we call the mutually enticing opportunity. That the parties have the opportunity now, there is a third party they can trust, and therefore this person can help them solve their dispute. Mediation, being a voluntary process, requires that there is something pushing parties to the table. In the current situation I'm seeing, as I'm watching it, there is something hurting both parties. And the best way to resolve this is to come to the table and have it resolved. There is no other way. The table, through dialogue.
Yes, that's very key, very important. Viewer from any part of this country where you might be watching us from, there's a need for mediation between our two parties and the principals. But the big question is this: are they aware or are they ignorant? I've seen different religious groups coming up and calling for dialogue, calling for reconciliation. But the big question is, do they actually know what is required and what is needed? Or probably they might be part of the players in some of these parties who are trying to safeguard where they can get some pocket money for themselves. I'd like to appreciate more other people who are just joining us today. I have Mr. Silas Ongaro watching us all the way from Kitui. I really appreciate you. We have Zippy Musimi watching us all the way from Nairobi. Thank you, Zippy. We have L. This name is really complicated, something like monster research.
Maftuna Shakirova from Diani. That's my
Oh,
student.
from Diani, Kenya. I really appreciate you so much. We have someone else, Felicia Katibi, all the way from Denmark. Karibu sana Felicia, all the way from Denmark. Really appreciate your presence. We have someone else here, Namuel Atemba. Namuel Atemba, mediator all the way from Nyamira. Thank you so much, mediator from Nyamira. We have Mr. Maxwell Mogaka, all the way from Nairobi, Gekonge, Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you for joining us. We have someone else here, Robinson Harrer, saying, good evening, everyone. I'm delighted to be in your presence. Thank you, Robinson, very much. We have Mr. Salim Mwaza says, Salim Mwaza all the way from Voi. This meeting today is representing Kenya in totality. Thank you very much. We have Robinson again says, Robinson Rua, all the way from Mombasa. Welcome, Robinson. I think it's the Reverend Robinson, if I'm not mistaken. We have someone else. Yeah, that's reputation. Then we have Mr. Peter Manga, all the way from Nairobi. If you can get us, you can reach us. Kindly send us a text, send us a message. Not only that, kindly subscribe to this channel as part of our support, and you'll be getting more and more notification for other good and great programs which you run every Wednesday to build us and also to help us to become better people. Yes, we have Edna says, I'm happy to be here all the way from Nairobi. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you for joining us today, even as we continue learning. Back to our president of East Africa, Mediation. Mediation, you're back.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think there's something I also wanted to comment more about the current situation that we have in the country right now. And it's good that we have these open discussions so that we are experts. When we have experts within the country, it's important that these full bodies look for experts. As you are in your previous conversation, you've talked about religious leaders calling for dialogue. The problem we have is that these dialogues sometimes are not structured. Proper. If you want to have a productive dialogue, it must be guided and structured and guided by experts.
Yes.
My advice, if any one of them is listening, is that it's important at this point that we have what we call an honest discussions. You know, sometimes we go to the table and we don't bring the really issues on the table. We keep on postponing these issues for years, things that are supposed to be brought to the table and discussed openly. We have to look for what is good for our country. You know, we have two intelligent human beings, and the future of this country depends on their actions, because a lot depends on them. Dialogue is the only way, because it's good for the country, and they know that.
Yes.
I always advise them it's important to manage a situation before the situation manages them, because at the moment when the situation starts to manage them, they will be helpless.
Yes.
And usually we have a template of talks, because these things happen all over the world. There are political disputes all over the world, and they are mediated in a structured manner. So peace is peace if there is justice, and if there's justice, that peace can be sustainable. So in negotiation, sometimes people ask for the sun when you know they can settle for the moon.
Yes.
The problem we have is what we call chest thumping and bravado. If we want to have a productive dialogue, there are things that we must avoid, like chest thumping and bravado.
Yes.
If we look at countries that like the US, when they have an issue, they usually sit down as brothers and sisters and resolve it. If something happens, even during elections in the United States of America, between the Republicans and the Democrats, everything is put away in the back burner, and they
Yes.
focus on what is important for the country.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, even for the talks that have always been taking place, the other day I was on KTN during a news interview, and I've always repeated this. I've been in KTN for 2-3 times. I've always said, all over the world, people do not resolve their disputes using the stick. What is usually required is an organized and a structured dialogue. And there's no alternative to that. People go fight to do everything they want, and at the end of the day, they simply come back to the table. So why should you just take a long route when you can go directly to the table, put all those things in the open, be assisted by experts, and have them resolved? And I'm sure there are so many people in this country who are experts. Even
Yes.
today, in the world where we are right now, in this forum, there are so many people who have experience and have expertise in this, who can be able to resolve these things productively.
Yes.
My colleagues from outside, because I sit in these international forums, I'm in the United Nations panel of mediators in the Office of the Ombudsman. I sit in the International Mediation Institute as a board member in the Netherlands.
Yes.
I'm a governor in the International Academy of Mediators in the US. When they look into our country, where we have experts, that we are in a crisis on something that we can be able to solve, it puts us it gives a very bad picture out there. And that's why, at least, even if we may not be politically relevant and we cannot be recognized, but indeed we are experts, why don't these people organize a forum, invite experts to assist them, and we resolve these things, this issue for posterity? Because most countries have gone down because of very simple issues like what we have. I
Might it
remember
be
one day I
possible?
was training in Cuba,
Yes, yes.
something broke out. Something broke out, skirmishes. The
Yes.
journey from the hotel room where I was training right to the place where I was to get to the airport appeared to be around 100 years along the way. When there is peace, you can ask our friends in Mogadishu. When
Yes.
there is no peace, you cannot enjoy even the money that you have. So peace is important, because conflict itself, as a type of metamorphosis, conflict starts with avoidance. People don't want to discuss about it. Then it graduates into confrontation. What's happening right now? The conflict at the level of confrontation.
Yeah.
After that, it goes into violence, and then it gets out of hand. There's a level at which people can be able to handle this conflict, a level which is manageable, and that level is now. So let's take that. We have the opportunity to handle it at this level, to arrest the conflict at this level, when we can be able to manage it and resolve it productively. If it reaches a point where we can't be able to manage it and the conflict is managing us instead, it will be too much.
Yeah.
That's
Then
what I can say.
what do you think we can do? Because it seems like our political leaders at this particular point, as others are calling for dialogue, I believe there's some of our religious leaders who are calling for dialogue now. They don't have totally no power because they compromised from the word go when the new government was forming. However, we have seen other group of religious leaders, and among them we have experts like some we have today who can be able to call for a shot. What do you think we can do so that mediators can have access to help the political leaders, at least to know that we have experts around and something need to be done? Because this time it's really interesting. The other day I saw even the leaders for Legio Maria calling for dialogue. It has come to that level, and it's really interesting because everybody is seeing something is extremely wrong. But from a political divide, it seems like everybody's right in his own way.
You see, if you have an intention of going to mediate this dispute, first of all, you must establish the ground of neutrality. Even the comments you make, because impartiality and neutrality is something that you develop, because perception is also another very interesting thing. If you make, I remember one of the politicians in this country was going to resolve a dispute in between Alzan Qatar and this was in it was, which country was this, in West Africa? He made a comment before he left the country that the only way that that dispute would be resolved was through the use of ECOWAS forces. And that information, the information got to the ground.
Yes.
It was Cote d'Ivoire, I think. So by the time he was arriving in Cote d'Ivoire, people were already demonstrating because they already associated him to be partisan. He had already made a comment that made him appear to be partisan, and therefore he could not be able to help parties resolve disputes. So even our religious leaders, for them to establish a ground where they can be perceived to be neutral, they must be very careful about what they have done previously. I remember at the time when this conflict was building up, most religious leaders appeared to be partisan. Some of them, I don't know if it's true or false, were said to be receiving an envelope from somewhere. Some of them were making statements that appear to be favoring one side of the political divide. If you are going to help parties resolve disputes, if you are going to position yourself to be a mediator, then you must establish neutrality right from the beginning, from the time the conflict starts to develop. Because if at all one of the parties has a perception that you have conflict of interest, or you have already taken a position, it will be very difficult for this person to trust you. And if they don't trust you, there is no way you can help them solve the dispute. That's why I have seen religious leaders now come in at this particular moment. But I want them to step back one step, look back, and examine any of their previous statements. If they haven't made a statement that was partisan, they lost their neutrality. And therefore, at that point, they cannot be able to assist these parties to resolve the dispute. That's why some countries have to look for people from outside the country to come and help them resolve the dispute. Because those ones within the country there is a perception of issues to do with the conflict of interest. But I also want them to know that we have experts, professional mediators in this country who have been trained and who know how to deal with the issues to do with impartiality, we deal with a conflict of interest and elements of stereotyping. So if you are able to manage that, it's very easy for you to come in and help these parties resolve the disputes. And I'm sure we have about 100 highly qualified mediators in this country who understand very well about why it's important to maintain the position of neutrality and why it's important for us to have peace. So if you can be able to establish that environment, you can assist these two protagonists. Only if they don't have, the problem we have also in this country is on issues to do with tribalism. If you belong to a particular tribe, you are regarded to have taken a position even before you take one.
Take one position.
Mediators like us do not belong to any political parties. And I told the mediators I trained that you do not belong to any political party or tribe or gender, because you might be called upon any time to resolve the dispute. So we work very hard to create an environment where we demystify that perception of partiality. So if they can trust that we are impartial, then we can be in a position to structure this conflict and help them resolve it. This conflict is not something you just call parties to the table. When the two protagonists were calling each other to the table, I sympathized with them, because was that mediation? I don't think so. That was direct negotiation, because these were from two different political divides, and they were each had their own positions. There was no third party to assist them. To assist them manage the conversation. Okay, so they were throwing pubs at each other, and therefore that was not properly structured. And I knew it was going to fail, and it failed. That came to pass. If they go back to the table again under the same structure, they will not succeed. So they need a third party or a group of people who are impartial, and well-trained and experts to be able to help these people resolve the dispute. There also another problem we have in Kenya here is people who volunteer themselves to mediate those disputes, and they have very little knowledge about what mediation is, only that they have good connections.
Yes.
Good connections are not enough. For the purpose of expertise, let's get people who have got expertise and who have the welfare of the country at heart. We are talking about 50 million people who are at the country is at stake, and the economy is dying every day. Some people not have them meals. The same, we have handled such similar conflict before. So if you see the urgency of the issue and how delicate it is and how urgent we need the solution to this problem, then we will not be look for our friends to come and mediate this dispute, because your friends already have conflict of interest. They're not partial. Look for experts. Let's focus on objectivity. We look for experts who are totally impartial to sit with these people and help them structure the conversation well before we approach it. Because the approach also will make it can be dead on arrival. The way you structure the conflict, it can be a non-starter. We call it a still path. You just start a conversation which you know very well will fail. We need to approach this thing with a lot of objectivity so that we can help save our country. And this can only be done through experts. I hope people will hear. Not the big men, you know, I'm a bishop, I'm a minister. That does not mean that you have the expertise to be able to resolve these disputes. Let's be honest with each other. What's required here is expertise, not how famous you are and what kind of position you take in the country.
Thank you very much. Yes, viewers, you can hear it all the way from the president of East Africa as far as the world of mediation is concerned. It's not how much connected you are. It is not how much a big title you have. Are you an expert? Are you biased? Are you probably having one of the greatest diseases many Kenyans are suffering? We call it tribalism. All this cannot help us at all, especially if you want to deal with crisis, yet from within your emotions and mindset, already you are in a state of crisis. We are at a time whereby professionals and experts are needed. And in Kenya today, we have more than 100 plus experts who can handle our crisis amicably. But if our leaders will go back to sit without a third party, we are going back again to crisis as we are today. I'd like to appreciate more and more people kindly subscribe to our channel this day. This is Moment with Christ, which comes each and every Wednesday to address different issues which need to be attended to in one way or another. We have Mahendra Patel who is saying mediation is a calling. Very important. Thank you, Mediator Patel. We have ZP who says the religious leaders have expressed the need to mediation. Let's hope now with their need, they shall call experts to come on board so that they can be able to help. We have Sam Ouma who says, good one, tuned in from Kisumu, Kenya. This is Mediator Sam Ouma. Thank you very much, Mediator Sam Ouma. Now we have Bonnie who says, mediators here, happy to see distinguished mediators here. I'm also happy as more and more mediators on this forum today, even in support of the president for East Africa, and also support of the need of Kenya to get to mediation through expert, but not good people with good suits, with good titles, but ignorant as far as mediation is concerned. Zipi Musimi once more says, I don't suppose they are necessarily this word is not clear, the last word from that point, but thank you, Zippy. I think Zippy is adding more information by saying another body can mediate, they can be approached, and these suggestions given. James, you can write, LSK can express the interests. Yeah, let's hope something, a letter can be written, hoping that it will be read, and different groups to come in as third parties to help in one way or the other. We have Rehema Mutunda, who says, watching from Western Kenya. Thank you very much. We have Bolo Production. That's my son watching all the way from 047. Thank you very much for joining our program from Nairobi. Hendra Patel once more continues by saying, interesting conversation. Mediation is a calling, and we need to start with peer mediation, especially in schools. We need to have some members in our future leadership. Thank you very much, Hendra Patel, for the comment. We have again Sami Mutuka, who says, watching from Nairobi, I'm grateful. Thank you very much. We have someone else, Shehe Legal, who says, Shehe Gladys, happy to be here. Congratulations to my lecturer. Thank you very much. It seems most of your students are around and joining this forum today. Watching from Kilifi County, Malindi, mediation is the way to go. Thank you, Shehe, once more. We have Lydia Maina saying, watching all the way from Nairobi. Thank you, Lydia Maina. Once more, Maxwell is back saying, those who have called for dialogue have manifested partiality. Yeah, it's a problem right now. There's need for impartial mediators without the slightest appearance of impartiality. Thank you very much. So these are great comments which are getting from different groups of people. Kindly subscribe to this channel so that next time when we have these kind of forums, you can be able to join us so that we can learn more and more and more. Yeah, in one of our programs coming up for one of our weeks, we'll be addressing different kind of experiences which people undergo in their life. In one of our last program, we were talking about reality of what are some of the reality about the world beyond our physical. And some of the great medical practitioners who took time and to study about near-death experience. There's something which they found out, and we'll be addressing it in some of the other programs. Just listen to this episode, which happened sometimes back.
Well, more than 90% of people believe there is an afterlife, according to our Today.com poll. But what exactly is it? Some people claim they know because they've actually experienced it. They share incredible stories like reconnecting with deceased loved ones or learning the meaning of life. The accounts are vivid and dramatic, but are they imaginary? Are they a true glimpse into life after death?
It's transformational. It's awesome.
Pure love, pure joy, pure bliss.
Peace, ecstasy, harmony. There was no fear, there's no hierarchy.
It was just so wonderful.
It was amazing.
The accounts are remarkable and widespread.
I knew instantly I was in the presence of my Creator.
It changed me as a person.
This life is not all there is.
From the young to the old, transcending language, culture, and geography.
It was really life-changing to have that near-death experience.
It redefined Barbara Bartolome's journey at the age of 31. You went into the hospital, you were having a surgical procedure. What happened?
I was having a myelogram, which is injecting iodine dye into the base of my neck.
The dye accidentally went into her brain, she says, and within moments, consciousness was gone and she was flatlining.
I literally went from inside my body, and when I shut my eyes, I was then just the next second I was up on the ceiling looking down at the entire room.
The feeling like nothing she'd ever known.
There was this feeling of a presence that was next to me. It felt like it was God. It felt so loving and so accepting and so eternal. I literally looked down and said, if I'm up here and my body's down there, then I think I must have just died.
So you just felt a presence, an aura, but you didn't see anything?
I didn't look. I was just watching everything happening below me.
But she wasn't ready to die yet, Barbara recalls.
I just began calmly talking to it and saying how much I wanted to go back into my life because my baby daughter was only 5 months old at the time and my son was 8 years old.
Pledging to make changes in her life, Barbara says she was suddenly back.
I shut my eyes up on the ceiling and reopened them, and I was looking right into the orthopedic surgeon's face.
It was striking. From that moment on, she was filled with love, peace, and purpose.
The loss of fear of death is so amazing.
It really doesn't matter if we prove this phenomena exists or not. What is central is what the patient in front of us is experiencing.
Lauren Belge is a critical care physician and author of Near Death in the ICU.
We know that they're clinically dead, and then whenever they are revived, they will actually explain to us what they saw in sometimes exquisite detail about the process of resuscitation.
She estimates seeing at least 50 patients firsthand who recounted a near-death experience.
They may have encounters with loved ones that have gone before them or spiritual beings that actually fit their belief system, and an extreme reluctance to come back to their physical facility after experiencing a sense of intense love and peace.
For many years, Barbara Bartolome didn't openly discuss her near-death experience until she began seeking out others. She became involved with the International Association for Near-Death Studies, a large organization dedicated to research, support, and education. More than 15 million Americans may have had a near-death experience, the group estimates.
This organization helps experiencers with acclimating to their near-death experience.
Is it a gift?
It is a gift.
Barbara now runs her local chapter.
I realized that talking about my near-death experience is what I'm supposed to be doing. It's the peace that I'm supposed to give. It's the gift.
For somebody who is possibly facing death right now, what do you want them to know?
That they don't need to fear it.
In completing her purpose, she's also spreading love, hope, and understanding.
Doing your best to be a good person, I think, through your life here is all that you're really being asked to do.
Now, there are many skeptics who believe these accounts are imaginary or a hallucination or simply made up. Barbara and those in the near-death community just dismiss the skeptics. They say it is their truth and they know that it's real. So you may be wondering what the science says about it all. Is there a way to prove it? Well, in fact, there may be. Doctors and scientists are conducting new research in the field, and we're going to take a closer look at that tomorrow. Guys, back to you.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
It really is.
Yeah, and if it makes that woman feel at more peace,
Sure.
then, you know, who's to argue with that? Natalie, good seeing you. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye
Happy
now.
holidays.
Welcome back. This is Mediator Collins Bolo all the way from Mombasa. I'm happy and excited. Even today, as I'm transmitting all the way from Nairobi, though my base is in Mombasa, and today hosting our president for East Africa as far as our field of mediation is concerned. And there's a lot of things we've been learning. There's a lot of responses which I'm getting from a numerous number of mediators who have decided to join our program today and even giving the opinion. I'd like to, before I go back to the president, to acknowledge Isabella Osiemo watching all the way from Nairobi. I'd like to acknowledge Gilbert Chabari, say Gilbert Mutembea, mediator from Nanyuki. Thank you, my lecturer. The way out is through mediation. Thank you. This is a group of experts. The country of Kenya needs them like never before. Rosemary Imbai says, mediation is a powerful tool which should be adopted. Mediation is the only solution to our country, Kenya, in a time like now. Thank you very much. You have Pamela saying, Pamela from Nairobi, mediation is a key for our challenge even at this particular time. We have Rosemary once more coming back and saying, the only solution is mediation. It has magic power. Let us all embrace it. It's a very powerful tool. Thank you very much. Rosemary and Robinson back on board again says, in Kenya, we are very competent mediators, but because messiahs are not respected in their own countries, let OAU intervene and bring mediators who can be believed to be neutral. That's an opinion from Robinson about the third parties who are needed. Once more, Rosemary says again, This is another, Rosemary from Kakamega. Thank you very much. I'm really happy. Please remember to subscribe to this channel today. If you won't do it, you really be unfair to the services which we are offering to the community in one way or the other. Now let me get back our president as he continues to enlighten us. Yes, Mr. James Magarere, in case today mediation won't be taken as a way out to our crisis, what are some of the danger which we might experience as a country? And not only that, there's some people in this forum who probably are hearing about mediation today, apart from political crisis, which are other areas where people can get services from a massive mediator within our country. Back to you.
Yeah, I just want to, sorry, am I unmuted?
You're okay, you're okay.
I'm unmuted now.
Yeah, you're okay, I can hear you very well. Yes,
okay,
I can hear you. Yeah.
So I just want, for those people who are learning about mediation today, it's important I tell you how important mediation is and what it can do. If you have had a chance of going to the courts, you know how much money you spend in paying your lawyers, paying the court fee, traveling to court, closing your business. So mediation reduces the cost of resolving conflict, because you can solve a conflict cheaply in one evening or in 1 week, something that will have taken years to resolve. That's why we also say that the mediation sometimes reduces the time it takes to resolve the conflict. You have seen like land matters taking 17 years in court, whereas a person can resolve a land matter in a week. And this is not just fiction. This is the truth. There's a time I used to teach at the Kenya School of Law, and one of my students I taught there came out. I used to teach them mediation towards the end of their program. One of the students came out and went to his father's law firm in town. And he found a matter that he stayed in court for 17 good years and requested his father to talk to the other side and see if they can attempt mediation. If it fails, it would simply come back to the courts. His father was not really willing, but he reluctantly wrote to the other side and asked them, can we try mediation? And they said, well, let's give it a try, because anything we discuss in mediation, if there's no agreement, it can't be disclosed, it's confidential. So the other party agreed, and the young man took the matter on himself. Within a week, the conflict was resolved. In fact, there were family members who were crying tears of joy and tears of regret, asking themselves what were they doing in court for 17 years when their matter would just be resolved in just a few days. The same thing in a case in Mombasa, where you are, Reverend Paulo. In that place is a family that was fighting, the family members were fighting over an investment that was done by their dad in Malindi. Several villas, those hotel rooms that are next to the ocean. They were in court for, I don't know, 16 years or so. And the villas were seriously debilitated. And these people were angry. They were very poor. They couldn't pay for their children's school fees because they were fighting, and the lawyers were eating as the fight was ongoing. We managed to resolve that issue through mediation. Yeah. They agreed to sell all the villas and divide money between themselves. They now have a lot of money. They are rich people. They are multi-billionaires from what they got, the process which were tied up in court. So mediation reduces the time it takes to resolve conflicts. And when people solve their disputes early, it gives them time to enjoy their life. You know, most people do not thrive in conflict. Nobody. Like, we have a desire for peace, all of us. So when we solve our conflicts early, we definitely have time to enjoy our lives. Mediation also reduces the stress involved in conflict resolution. How many people really understand how stressful the vagaries of the court process are? It sometimes can even traumatize you if you are placed in cross-examination in court. So mediation is more humane and capable of healing and reconciliation. And that's the aim of resolving conflicts everywhere. The process of mediation is confidential. So many family disputes that people come across, they don't want to wash their dirty linen in public. So mediation helps them resolve them undercover. so that nobody knows about your family problems. I'm sure those people who have attended this session today, they have their own family secrets that they may not want disclosed in an open court of law. So because of confidentiality, mediation can really help you a great deal in ensuring that you can resolve your disputes undercover, have them resolved, and nobody will even know about them. Even the companies themselves, the business people, nobody wants to wash their linen in public, because you only get business because of your reputation. It can mess up your reputation. Mediation also allows creative solutions. If you ever go to court, the courts will always look for the law and facts. Mediation comes up with remedies that are outside the judicial process, creative solutions that can work. How many people get judgments from court which they cannot be able to implement because they are incapable of implementation? They are based on the law and the facts that were presented before court. Mediation also provides you an opportunity to express your emotions and views. In fact, human beings are 98% emotional and only 2% rational. So if you go to court, the courts are looking at the rationality of your case. In mediation, we focus on your emotions, the emotional content of the disputes, and usually, once these emotions are addressed, people always will never remember about their substantive issues. Mediation will not impose an unpredictable result on you. You know, you can go to court today and your lawyer can smile at you and tell you, in this case, we are going to win, only to be surprised and shocked when your case is dismissed right in front of your eyes. And the lawyer, you can't even look eye to eye with your lawyer. So we avoid this because in mediation, parties have control over the outcome of their cases, and therefore they are not going to be surprised by the outcome. In mediation, your people are experts who understand the subject matter of the dispute. They have experience in that dispute. So they will make it easier for you to understand and help in the process of resolution because of their subject matter expertise. Mediation produces win-win solutions. When people go to court, one party wins, another one loses, it destroys relationships. When we are social animals as human beings, we need each other to complete this social cycle. So if we have a system which resolves our disputes and destroys our relationship, we are going to have an environment where we are working from a perspective of enmity.
Yeah.
We enjoy staying together and living together. Mediation enhances and even preserves relationships. We resolve our disputes and we maintain our relationship. The process of mediation itself is in the hands of the disputants. So they determine the standards of fairness of the whole process. So I can talk until tomorrow, but let me tell you, mediation is the best way of resolving disputes, and I encourage anybody who is hearing about it today that this is what we have always forgotten. People say, the Bible says, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. We have better ways of resolving conflicts and not through the process of litigation or even arbitration. Mediation is superior.
Thank you. There might be some people right now who probably are asking, if I want to be a mediator, or if I want to meet with mediators so that my issues can be resolved, where should I go? Who should I contact? Which institutions do I need to acknowledge and to know?
You know, sometimes we say we don't advertise ourselves, we tell people from what we do.
Yes.
If you want to become a real professional mediator, there's only one stop shop, and that's Mediation Training Institute East Africa. We train and certify professional mediators, and our courses have been accredited by 11 international organizations. I can just mention 3.
Yes.
We are accredited by the International Mediation Institute, Netherlands. So our training program is a certified professional mediation training program. We are accredited by the Singapore International Mediation Institute. We have been recognized by a number of international bodies.
Yes.
The International Academy of Mediators, African Mediators Association, and many others worldwide. So if you are trained by MTI, you can be sure that apart from practicing locally, you can step outside this country, go to the United States of America, Canada, Australia, and in Europe, and your certification can be recognized. I don't think we are at par with anybody else when it comes to training. People who have gone through our training, they can tell you.
Yes.
And we don't mince out our words. We give the best training in the world as MTI East Africa. If you want to get mediation services, we have the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators, ICMC, which is our membership body, where we have it's a credentializing body where we have registered our members, and these members work hand in hand with the MTI Mediation Center, where most cases are being referred to. And we have formed committees, and from these committees, we are trying to open up the mediation ecosystem so that all the people, all the departments in the country, the insurance industry, manufacturing industry, medical, etc., employment, labor relations, those matters can have their way referred to a court. If you go to places like in the United States of America, you will not be you cannot file a case in court unless you have gone through mediation. That's where most countries have gone to. The only problem we have is that we have not properly sensitized our people to know that mediation is a better option than going to court. So we need to do a lot. And even for the mediators who have attended here today, we have simply scratched the surface. The mediation coverage in this country is 11%, which means we have 89% of the population who do not know about the existence and the efficacy of mediation in resolving disputes. We have a lot of work to do. We can be complaining that we do not have cases, but only about 89% of Kenyans who do not understand or do not know the difference between mediation and arbitration and the conciliation, who do not know the importance of mediation. We can't complain that we are not getting business. We have a lot of work to do to educate the public about mediation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's the president of MTI East Africa, who today agreed to come even and join us and even enlighten us why mediation is key and important in Kenya and for Kenyans at the same time. I'm really happy, our president, for joining us today, coming and accepting without any complication, even to join this program and even to empower all the audience who are watching us from YouTube. Some are watching us even from Facebook, and others will repeat watching it to know the importance of the presence of mediators in our country, Kenya. I really appreciate so much. I'm happy even for you accepting to join our program. For all the viewers who are watching us from different parts of this country, thank you very much. Once more, please, before you log off, make sure you subscribe to this channel so that all other good programs should be coming, you can get a notification. Not only that, by you subscribing to this channel, you are giving us room so that at one point of time, we can also enjoy the benefit of using this platform in educating people and also empowering people. I'm none other than Reverend Collins Bolo, also being a certified mediator, host and presenter of this program, Moment with Christ. Let's connect again for the same program next week on Wednesday from 8 to 9. However, tomorrow we have Marketplace Venture from 8 to 9. Make sure you tune in and get more tips on how you can have wealth creation without manipulation or being manipulated by anybody, but through understanding your gift, talents, which already are established within yourself. God bless you. Good night. I appreciate your attendance in this forum tonight.